Good evening, everyone. This is Henry Gambell with SimplerOptions.com, and in tonight's free video I wanted to share some ideas with you on taking a high-level approach, drilling down from that analysis, and then trying to find opportunities in other individual names. A lot of times we will start these videos by a review of the stock indexes and then go down into its individual name. What we're doing tonight is looking at the iShares NASDAQ Biotech ETF, which is just IBB. So if you're ever not familiar with the symbol, these TradeStation charts do make it fairly handy that you can look up there into the title bar and find out exactly what we are looking to. So as we look at IBB, we can see that we've got a fairly strong chart. I'm not really wild about trying to buy these names that are right up here near recent highs, but part of what spurred this conversation and what I wanted to share with you guys is that if you do get into tomorrow and say whatever the results bring, I think you've got to give some time to let the initial kind of back and forth die down a bit. But if the results of the move prompt higher equity prices, there's going to be, you're going to want to look for things to buy. IBB is right up there near the top part of this, but as you start drilling down into the individual components of this, you can see GILD had a great move today. And I'm not trying to buy these that have already made their move, but I'm trying to preemptively get position for those that may be waiting in the wings to have a similar take. So GILD kind of already made that move today, and then the next in the list, the third most heavily weighted component of IBB, is AMGN. This is part of what I try to use to help differentiate those points where I don't want to come in and buy something that is sitting relatively close to its old highs, versus when I can go ahead and try and participate in that strategy or participate in the move. And that is all coming from the squeeze. Another reason why I pointed this out, not only the strength in biotechs in general, but this is something I've always found very helpful as a student of the squeeze, and recognizing a point where the signal fires short, but it doesn't really shift the trend. I mean, we have that little drop that we saw off of the previous Friday's action, just because the entire market took a fairly heavy hit. Of course, you get a lot of that starts to recover, and during that recovery you go back into the squeeze. So to me, this suggests that this underlying has room for a push into something like 175, 180, and if that is something you'd like to play, I think that will be in action over the course of the next several trading sessions. So wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that and a couple of different ways to drill down in the analysis, and then also wanted to make sure that you're aware of the webinar that we're going to be having tonight. This is going to be with John Carter and David Starr. It's using the trifecta of the analysis that they have come up with through the voodoo lines, the ready aim fire indicator, and the Dyna range. So these are all a confluence of study sets that David has been putting together. Obviously, you guys know how big of a fan I am of his work, and I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of this. So tonight's webinar will be with the both of them. That is from 7 p.m. Central Time to 8, and I hope to see you there.